The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest room Kevin Park had ever seen. It stretched so far that he could not see the walls on either side. Floating platforms held thousands of alien beings from hundreds of different worlds. Strange lights moved through the air like living things. The ceiling was so high that clouds actually formed near the top. Kevin stood alone on a small platform in the center of it all. He was 32 years old, with short black hair and calm brown eyes. He wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. Around him, creatures of every shape and size watched him with expressions he could not read. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some seemed to be made of light itself. Some had too many eyes. Some had no eyes at all. But they all had one thing in common. They all looked at Kevin like he was something small and unimportant. High Counselor Vex was the leader of this assembly. He sat on the highest platform, looking down at Kevin from what seemed like a mile above. Vex was a luminari, a being made of living crystal. His body caught the light and broke it into 1,000 colors. He was beautiful and terrible at the same time. "Human," Vex said. His voice did not come from a mouth. It simply appeared in the air, translated by machines so that everyone could understand. "You have come before this council many times. Your species has asked to join us for 4 years now. We grow tired of your asking." Kevin kept his face calm. He had trained for this moment his entire adult life. He knew that showing fear or anger would only make things worse. "With respect, High Counselor, Earth has met every requirement for membership. We have the technology. We have the ships. We have the peaceful intentions." A sound like breaking glass filled the hall. It took Kevin a moment to realize that the Luminari were laughing. The sound was not pleasant. From another platform, a massive insect-like creature rose on 6 legs. This was Ambassador Scrix of the Keth people. His body was covered in thick armor that looked like it could stop bullets. His mouth was a mess of sharp parts that clicked together when he spoke. "Requirements are only the beginning, little human," Scrix said. "Any species can build ships. Any species can pretend to be peaceful. But to join this council, you must prove that your world has value. You must show us strength." Kevin had read about the Keth. They were warriors. Their entire culture was built around fighting and conquest. They believed that the strong should rule and the weak should serve. They had been council members for over 1,000 years. "What kind of strength?" Kevin asked. Another alien spoke. This one was Ambassador Nira of the Serpentine. She was like a giant snake, but with arms and a face that was almost human. Her scales were deep green, and her eyes were gold. "Every species that joins the council must pass a test. You must bring us a creature from your world. A predator. The most dangerous beast your planet has created." The hall filled with sounds of agreement. Clicking, hissing, humming, and other noises that Kevin had no words for. Vex raised one crystal limb for silence. "This is our tradition, human. We do not judge a world by its people alone. We judge it by what nature has created there. A truly strong world produces truly strong predators. A weak world produces weak ones." Images began to appear in the air around Kevin, holographic pictures of monsters from other worlds. He saw a creature from the Luminari homeworld. It was like a wolf made of crystal, with teeth that could cut through metal. According to the text floating beside it, this beast hunted by sensing the fear of its prey. Another image showed a Keth creature. It was a nightmare of legs and jaws and poison. The text said it had killed 17 council guards before they managed to stop it. The Keth considered this a great honor. More and more images appeared. Serpents that could swallow ships. Flying things with wings of fire. Beasts that lived in acid and ate rock. Each one was more terrifying than the last. The Luminari brought the Crystal Stalker, Vex said proudly. The Keth brought the Hive Devourer. The Serpentine brought the Sky Wraith. Each species proved the worth of their world through these demonstrations. Scrix's mouthparts clicked with amusement. Your world, human, is known to us. A wet ball of mud and water. Your species has no claws, no fangs, no armor. You cannot even survive your own weather without building shelters. We expect your predators are equally disappointing. More laughter filled the hall. Kevin heard it from all sides. Thousands of aliens, all laughing at Earth, all laughing at humanity. Tessa Morgan stood on a nearby platform. She was the senior diplomat, Kevin's boss and mentor. She was 50 years old with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had warned Kevin that this might happen. She had told him to stay calm no matter what. But staying calm was hard when an entire galaxy was laughing at your home. Kevin waited for laughter to fade. Then he spoke, and his voice was steady. You want Earth's most dangerous predator? We demand it, Vex replied. Bring us your greatest beast. Show us what your weak little world can create. We will place it in our arena, and our warriors will face it. If it provides even a small challenge, we may consider your request more seriously. Scrix made a sound that might have been a snort. Do not expect much, counselor. I have studied Earth. Their largest predators are bears and great cats. Impressive to them, perhaps. But our warriors hunt such things for sport. Kevin looked at the massive insect alien. Then he looked up at the crystal being on the highest platform. Then he looked around at the thousands of faces watching him with contempt and amusement. And Kevin smiled. It was a small smile, just a slight curve of his lips. But something about it made the nearest aliens lean back slightly. Something about it was not the smile of a man who was afraid or embarrassed. It was the smile of a man who knew something they did not. Aye, counselor, Kevin said. I accept your challenge. Give me 1 month. I will return with a predator from Earth, and I promise you this. Your warriors have never faced anything like it. Vex's crystal body flickered with interest. You seem confident, human. Very well, 1 month. Do not disappoint us. Kevin bowed slightly. Then he turned and walked off the platform, past the watching aliens, past the floating lights, past the grandest hall in the known galaxy. Behind him, the council returned to their other business. Most of them had already forgotten about the small human and his small world. They expected nothing. They believed Earth had nothing to offer. They were wrong. Back on the Earthship, Kevin called an emergency meeting. He gathered Tessa and the other diplomats around a table and brought up a holographic image of their destination, Australia. What are you planning? Tessa asked. Kevin zoomed in on the northern coast, where rivers met the sea and ancient forests still grew thick and wild. They want a predator, he said. They want to see what Earth can create. So we're going to show them something that has been hunting and killing for 200 million years. Something that watched the dinosaurs come and go. Something that never needed to change because it was already perfect. On the screen, a pair of yellow eyes stared up from dark water. Cold, patient, hungry. We're bringing them a saltwater crocodile. The helicopter flew low over the Australian wetlands. Below, rivers twisted through green forests like brown snakes. The air was hot and wet, even inside the aircraft. Kevin Park looked out the window and tried to imagine what this land had looked like millions of years ago. Not much different, he thought. This place had barely changed since the dinosaurs walked here. Sitting next to him was Dr. Rachel Kim. She was 45 years old, with kind eyes behind thick glasses. She was one of Earth's best scientists when it came to studying alien life. But today, she was here to study something from her own world. You really think this will work? She asked over the noise of the helicopter. Kevin nodded. The council expects something big and scary. Something with claws and teeth. They've seen that before. Every species brings some kind of monster. But they've never seen anything like what we're about to show them. The helicopter began to descend toward a compound near the coast. High fences surrounded several large pools and buildings. Signs warned visitors to stay away from the water. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. Waiting for them on the landing pad was Tommy Lee. He was a man in his 60s, thin but strong, with skin turned to leather by decades in the sun. He wore simple work clothes and heavy boots. His eyes were the eyes of a man who had seen dangerous things and learned to respect them. Tommy shook Kevin's hand firmly. "Ambassador Park, welcome to Crocodile Country. Thank you for meeting us, Mr. Lee. I understand you're the best handler in the region." Tommy laughed. It was a dry sound, like leaves rustling. Handler is a strong word. Nobody handles these animals. We just try to stay alive around them. Come on. I'll show you what you came to see. He led them through a series of security doors. Each one required a code and a fingerprint. Rachel noticed cameras everywhere, watching every angle. "Security seems tight," she observed. "Has to be," Tommy replied. "The animals in here could kill a man in less than a second. We lost a worker 3 years ago. He got too close to a feeding area. They never found most of him." Kevin and Rachel exchanged looks but said nothing. Finally, they reached an observation platform overlooking a massive enclosure. The pool below was huge, at least 100 meters across. The water was dark and murky. Plants grew along the edges. It looked peaceful. It looked like any other pond. But Kevin knew better than to trust appearances. "Where is it?" he asked. Tommy pointed to a spot near the center of the pool. At first, Kevin saw nothing. Then he noticed 2 small bumps breaking the surface. They were eyes. Yellow eyes, cold and ancient, watching them without blinking. "That's grandfather," Tommy said. "Been calling him that since my own grandfather first spotted him back in the 1950s. He was already fully grown then. Best guess, he's somewhere between 90 and 100 years old." Rachel pulled out a tablet and began taking notes. "How big is he?" 23 feet long. Over 2,500 pounds. Possibly the largest saltwater crocodile ever recorded. Definitely the oldest in captivity. Kevin stared at those eyes. They had not moved. They had not blinked. They simply watched. Patient. Eternal. "Tell me about the species," Kevin said. Tommy leaned against the railing. "Saltwater crocodiles are the largest reptiles on Earth. They can live in fresh water or salt water. They can swim for miles in the open ocean. They can go months without eating if they have to. And when they do eat, they can take down almost anything." "What do they hunt?" "Everything. Fish, birds, deer, wild pigs, water buffalo, other crocodiles, sharks, anything that comes to the water's edge." Tommy's voice grew serious. "And humans. They kill people every year. Not many, because we've learned to avoid them. But when a crocodile decides to hunt a person, that person usually dies." Rachel looked up from her tablet. "Their bite force is incredible. Over 3,700 pounds per square inch. That's the strongest bite of any living animal. Stronger than lions. Stronger than great white sharks. Stronger than anything." Kevin watched as grandfather slowly sank beneath the surface. No splash, no ripple. Just gone, like he had never been there at all. "He's hunting," Tommy said quietly. "Practicing. Even though there's nothing to hunt in there right now, he's practicing. That's what they do. They wait. They watch. And when the moment comes, they strike." "How fast are they?" "On land, they can run about 11 miles per hour for short distances. faster than most people can react. But in the water? Tommy shook his head. In the water, they're like missiles. They can launch themselves almost their entire body length in less than a second. By the time you see them coming, it's already too late. Kevin thought about the Keth warriors. They were big and strong and covered in armor. They had been fighting and killing for thousands of years. They thought they were the greatest predators in the galaxy. They had never met anything like Grandfather. What about their bodies? Kevin asked. How tough are they? Rachel answered this one. Their scales are made of a material called osteoderms. Basically, they have bones in their skin. It's like wearing armor all the time. Bullets can hurt them, but they won't kill them unless you hit a vital spot. And their vital spots are very hard to reach. They've survived everything, Tommy added. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts. The same event that killed the dinosaurs? These guys swam right through it. They didn't change because they didn't need to. They were already perfect. Kevin made his decision. We'll take him. Tommy raised an eyebrow. You sure? He's killed 4 people that we know of. Probably more that we don't. Moving him is dangerous. Keeping him is dangerous. He doesn't like being contained. Neither do humans, Kevin said. But we manage. The preparations took 2 weeks. A special container had to be built, large enough to hold Grandfather and his water, strong enough to contain him if he got angry. Which he would. Crocodiles did not like change. Tommy supervised every step of the process. He explained that crocodiles were smarter than people thought. They could learn patterns. They could remember faces. And they definitely held grudges. Once we move him, Tommy warned, he's going to be upset. He might not eat for weeks. He might try to break out. And whatever you do, never let anyone get near his mouth. Ever. The day of the transfer came. Grandfather had to be sedated, which was a dangerous process by itself. The drugs took almost an hour to take effect, and even then, his eyes never fully closed. He watched them the entire time, those ancient yellow eyes tracking every movement dot. It took 20 people to lift him into the container. Even unconscious, his body was pure muscle. His tail alone weighed more than most men. Kevin stood beside the container as it was loaded onto the transport ship. Through the small window, he could see Grandfather's head. The crocodile's mouth was slightly open, showing rows of teeth that had been tearing flesh since before humans existed. You sure about this? Rachel asked, standing beside him. Kevin nodded. The council thinks Earth is weak. They think we're soft. They have no idea what our planet is really like. They have no idea what has been hunting in our waters for 200 million years. Tommy joined them, ready to travel with the ship. He would be the only person Grandfather would tolerate. Even that was not guaranteed. The galaxy wants to see a monster, Kevin said, watching those yellow eyes. We're going to show them one. The ship lifted off, carrying its ancient cargo toward the stars. In the container, Grandfather's eyes slowly opened. He was awake now, and he was angry. Perfect, Kevin thought. He should be angry when we arrive. The arena of the Galactic Council was built to hold monsters. It was a massive circular space, half a mile across, with walls that rose 100 feet high. The floor could be changed to match any environment. Today, it had been filled with a pool of warm water, surrounded by rocks and sand. The council had designed this arena based on what they knew about Earth. They expected something like a shark or perhaps a large cat. They had prepared weapons and warriors to face whatever the humans brought. They were not prepared for Grandfather. The viewing platforms around the arena were packed with spectators. Nearly 2,000 beings from across the galaxy had come to watch humanity's embarrassment. They expected entertainment. They expected the human creature to be subdued quickly and easily. Bets were being placed. The Keth were giving odds of 10 to 1 that their warriors would kill the Earth Beast within 5 minutes. The Luminari were betting on 3 minutes. No one was betting on the crocodile. Kevin Park stood at the arena entrance with Tommy Lee and Rachel Kim. Behind them, the massive container holding Grandfather had been brought into position. Inside, Kevin could hear the sound of water sloshing as the crocodile moved. Grandfather had not eaten during the 3-week journey. Tommy had explained that this was normal for crocodiles. They could go months without food. But when they finally did eat, they ate everything. 3 weeks without food had made Grandfather very hungry. High. Counselor Vex presided from the highest platform, his crystal body catching the arena lights. Human delegation, you have returned as promised. We are eager to see what terror your world has created. Kevin stepped forward. His voice was calm but carried clearly through the arena. Before we begin, High Counselor, I would like to provide some information about our creature. Vex gestured with one limb. Speak. Kevin nodded, and holographic images appeared around the arena. Earth is not the peaceful world you imagine. Our planet has experienced 5 mass extinction events, asteroid impacts, volcanic winters, ice ages. Every few million years, our world essentially resets, destroying up to 96% of all life. The images showed ancient landscapes, prehistoric disasters, worlds of fire and ice. Most species adapt or die, Kevin continued. But some species were already so perfectly designed that they simply endured. While others changed, these creatures remained the same, because nothing nature threw at them could improve upon their design. He nodded to Tommy, who began the process of releasing the container into the arena pool. I present to you the Saltwater Crocodile, a species that has existed, virtually unchanged, for over 200 million years. It watched the dinosaurs rise. It watched them fall. And it remained. The container opened beneath the water's surface. For a long moment, nothing happened. The water was still. The arena was silent. Then the spectators began to laugh. They could see the creature now, gliding just beneath the surface. To their eyes, it was nothing impressive. Just a long, dark shape in the water. No glowing eyes. No poison. No fire. Just scales and teeth and the tail. This is it? Scrix called out from his platform. This is the terror of Earth? It looks like a log. More laughter. The Keth warriors, standing ready around the pool, relaxed their stance. One of them, a massive soldier with particularly thick armor, stepped closer to the water's edge. I will kill it with my bare hands, the warrior declared. The humans have brought us a water snake. This is an insult. Kevin said nothing. He simply watched. Tommy leaned close to him. That one's too close, I know. The Keth warrior leaned over the water, looking for the creature. He could see it, floating about 10 meters away. It wasn't even moving, just drifting, pathetic. Come here, little beast, the warrior called mockingly. Come meet your death. Grandfather's eyes, just above the waterline, slowly turned toward the warrior. Then he moved. What happened next was so fast that most of the spectators did not see it. One moment, the crocodile was floating lazily in the middle of the pool. The next, he had launched himself through the water like a torpedo, covered the distance in less than 2 seconds, and exploded from the surface with his jaws wide open. The Keth warrior had time to raise his arms. Nothing more. Grandfather's jaws closed around the warrior's midsection with a sound like thunder. The bite force cracked through the Keth's armor like it was paper. Before the warrior could even scream, Grandfather dragged him into the water and began to spin. The death roll. Kevin had seen videos of crocodiles doing this. They grabbed their prey and rolled their bodies over and over, tearing the flesh apart. It was brutal. It was efficient. It was 200 million years of evolution focused on one thing: destruction. The arena erupted in chaos. Screams filled the air. Beings who had thought themselves the masters of the universe watched in horror as the Keth warrior was torn apart. His armor, which could withstand plasma fire, came apart in pieces. His body followed. "Contain IT," Vex roared. "Guards! Kill the beast." More Keth warriors rushed toward the pool, weapons raised. They were elite soldiers, the best fighters their species had ever produced. They had conquered worlds. They had crushed armies. They had never known fear. They learned it now. The first warrior fired an energy blast into the water. It hit Grandfather's back and did nothing. The scales that had evolved to withstand the Dionstant bites of other crocodiles that had existed since before most of these species had developed fire simply absorbed the energy. Grandfather released his first kill and turned toward the new threat. The warrior saw those yellow eyes coming and stumbled backward. Too slow. Grandfather lunged from the water, jaws snapping shut on the warrior's head. Another roll. Another body floating on the surface. The third warrior tried to run. Grandfather caught him by the leg and pulled him into the pool. The warrior thrashed and fought, but the crocodile was stronger, so much stronger. The warrior disappeared beneath the dark water and did not come up again. Now the remaining warriors fled. These soldiers who had mocked humanity, who had laughed at Earth, ran from the arena as fast as their legs could carry them. They knocked each other over in their panic. They screamed words in their language that needed no translation. They were afraid. In the viewing platforms, chaos had erupted. Species that had spent thousands of years considering themselves the apex predators of the universe watched as a primitive Earth creature killed their greatest warriors like they were nothing. The luminaries' crystal forms flickered with distress. The serpentine coiled around each other in fear. Even Scrix, the mighty Keth ambassador, had backed away from the edge of his platform. Grandfather returned to the center of the pool. He floated. There only his eyes and the top of his head visible. He was not tired. He was not injured. He was simply waiting for the next thing to kill. Tommy Lee stood at the arena's edge, perfectly calm. He had seen crocodiles hunt before. He knew exactly what they were capable of. "He's still hungry," Tommy observed. "That wasn't enough," Kevin nodded. Then he raised his voice so the entire arena could hear. "High Counselor Vex, this is what Earth produces. This is what has been swimming in our waters, hunting our ancestors for 200 million years. My species learned to fear it before we learned to speak. We learned to avoid it before we learned to use tools. And yet we survived. We built civilizations. We reached the stars. Not because we were stronger than the monsters of our world, but because we were smarter." He let the words hang in the silence. "You asked us to bring our most dangerous predator. We brought you a creature that has never needed to evolve, that has never needed to change, that has simply been killing efficiently and perfectly since before your species existed. This is Earth. This is what our world creates." Grandfather's eyes moved slowly across the arena, looking at all the beings watching him. His gaze was patient, eternal. He had been doing this for so long that these strange new creatures did not concern him. They were just meat. They were all just meat. Vex's crystal form had gone dim. When he spoke, his voice was different, quieter. "Get that thing out of my arena." Tommy whistled sharply. It was a specific sound, one he had used for decades. Grandfather's eyes turned toward him. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the crocodile began to swim toward a secondary pool that led back to his container. He would eat later. He could wait. He had been waiting for 200 million years. As Grandfather disappeared into the holding area, Kevin looked up at the council. "So," he said calmly, About our membership application? The arena was cleaned within an hour, but the memory of what happened there would last for generations. Medical teams collected what remained of the Keth warriors. There was not much to collect. The armor that was supposed to protect them had been torn apart like wet paper. Kevin Park sat alone in a small diplomatic chamber, waiting. Through the window, he could see the stars stretching forever into the black void. Somewhere out there was Earth, a small blue dot that the galaxy had dismissed as weak and unimportant. They were not dismissing it anymore. The door opened, and High Counselor Vex entered. He moved slowly, his crystal body flickering with colors Kevin had not seen before. On his world, Kevin knew, Vex was considered beautiful, powerful, perfect. Right now, he looked like something that had just learned a terrible truth. "Ambassador Park," Vex said. "High Counselor." Vex lowered himself onto a seat across from Kevin. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Outside, stars continued their eternal dance, uncaring about the small beings who lived and died in their light. Finally, Vex broke the silence. "You knew. Before you came here, before you entered the arena, you knew what would happen. I suspected. Our warriors are the best in this sector. They have trained since birth. They have conquered worlds. They have never been defeated." Vex's form flickered again. "Your creature killed 3 of them in less than 30 seconds. It did not even seem to notice they were fighting back." Kevin kept his expression calm. "The Keth attacked first. They moved toward the water's edge. They threatened Grandfather. He defended himself." "Defended himself?" Vex made a sound that might have been a bitter laugh. "That was not defense. That was slaughter. That was nature, High Counselor. That was 200 million years of evolution, doing exactly what it was designed to do." Vex was silent for a moment. "The Keth are demanding justice. They want your creature destroyed. They want you arrested. They want Earth punished for this insult." Kevin had expected this. He had prepared for it during the long journey back from the arena. By your own council laws, predators presented in the arena are not responsible for casualties among aggressive observers. The Keth warriors approached the water. They provoked the creature. They entered its territory. According to Section 47 of the Arena Guidelines, any deaths that occur due to voluntary approach by observers are the responsibility of the observers themselves. Vex stared at him. "You studied our laws." "I studied everything, High Counselor. Your history, your culture, your psychology, your legal codes, your traditions." Kevin leaned forward slightly. "You expected humanity to bring something weak, something small, something that would embarrass us and prove that Earth was not worthy of joining your council. You wanted to laugh at us. And instead, I brought a reminder." Kevin's voice grew harder. "Earth is not soft. Earth is not weak. Earth is what humans call a death world. Everything on our planet has been locked in an evolutionary war for billions of years. Our predators have been shaped by unimaginable violence. Our prey animals had to become smart enough to survive. And humans?" He paused, letting the silence build. "Humans had to become the most dangerous thing on a planet full of killers. Not through strength or poison or armor. Through intelligence. Through adaptability. Through our absolute refusal to die." Vex's crystal form pulsed with new colors. "You are making a point. I am making several points, High Counselor." Kevin held up one finger. "First, do not underestimate Earth. Our planet has been trying to kill us since we climbed down from the trees. Ice ages, plagues, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Every disaster you can imagine, we have survived. We are still here." He held up a second finger. "Second, do not underestimate humans. We did not become the dominant species of our world by being the strongest or the fastest. We did it by being the most creative, the most persistent, the most willing to adapt. When our world tried to kill us, we built shelters. When our predators hunted us, we invented weapons. When the cold came, we learned to make fire. Nothing stops us. Nothing. A third finger. Third, we tamed that creature. The greatest predator our planet has ever known. The thing that killed your best warriors like they were insects. We captured it. We contained it. We put it in the box and carried it across the stars. Not because we are stronger than it, because we are smarter. Vex said nothing. Kevin lowered his hand. Earth would make a very good ally to this council. High Counselor, we are survivors. We are builders. We are problem solvers. We have faced extinction over and over again, and we have won every time. That is what humanity brings to the table. He paused, then added quietly, and we would make very, very dangerous enemies. For a long moment, Vex simply looked at him. Kevin could not read the alien's expression, but he sensed something changing in the way Vex held himself. Something in the flickering of his crystal form. Your creature, Vex finally said. Grandfather, you called it? Yes. It has no special abilities? No poison? No psychic powers? No energy weapons? Nothing. Just scales and teeth and muscles. It is a pure predator. Nothing more and nothing less. How old did you say its species was? Over 200 million years. For comparison, your species has existed for approximately 8,000 years. The Keth have existed for about 12,000. Grandfather's ancestors were hunting before any of the council species had even begun to evolve. Vex absorbed this information. And yet you live alongside these creatures. On the same planet. In the same waters. Yes, and sometimes they kill us. And sometimes we kill them. But mostly, we simply stay out of each other's way. We learned, long ago, that there are things we cannot fight. Things we must simply respect and avoid. On my world, Vex said slowly, there is an old legend. A story told to young Luminari to teach them humility. It speaks of a predator so ancient, so perfectly designed, that even the gods feared it. A creature that existed before time itself. We thought it was only a myth. A story to frighten children. He looked at Kevin with new eyes. We were wrong. The High Counselor rose from his seat. He moved to the window and stared out at the stars. Kevin waited, knowing that some things could not be rushed. The council will deliberate, Vex finally said. There will be arguments. The Keth will demand blood. Others will demand that Earth be isolated forever, cut off from the rest of the galaxy. He turned back to Kevin. But I think, Ambassador Park, that they will fail. Because today, for the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council has been reminded of something important. What is that? That the universe is old, and vast, and full of things we do not understand, things we cannot predict, things that have been hunting and killing since before our species learned to crawl. Vex's form brightened slightly. Your planet produced that creature. Your planet produced you. Perhaps that is worth respecting after all. He moved toward the door, then stopped. Ambassador Park, one more question. Yes? That creature. Grandfather. There are more like it on Earth. Kevin allowed himself a small smile. Thousands. And they are just one species. Our oceans contain sharks that have existed for 400 million years. Our forests contain cats that can kill with a single bite. Our deserts contain snakes with poison that can stop a heart in minutes. Our very insects can kill with their stings. He let that sink in. Earth, High Counselor, is not a safe place. It has never been a safe place. And yet humanity survives. We thrive. We build. We dream. We reach for the stars. Kevin stood and looked Vex directly in his crystalline eyes. That is what you should remember when you discuss our application. Not that we brought a monster, but that we came from a world of monsters and became something greater. Vex studied him for a long moment, Then, without another word, he left the chamber. Kevin stood alone by the window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere in the station's lower levels, Grandfather floated in his pool, ancient eyes watching everything. Patient, eternal, undefeated, just like Earth itself. The council's deliberation lasted 3 days. During that time, Kevin noticed changes in how the station's inhabitants treated the human delegation. Before, there had been condescension, amusement, barely hidden, contempt. Aliens had looked at humans like they were children playing at being adults. That was over now. Being stepped aside when humans walked past. Conversation stopped when they entered rooms. Eyes followed them with new expressions. Not friendship. Not yet. But something that looked very much like respect. Kevin spent those 3 days waiting. He ate meals with Tommy and Rachel. He reviewed reports from Earth. He answered questions from nervous officials back home who wanted to know if they had just started a war with the galaxy. They're not going to attack us, Kevin told them. They're too busy being afraid. On the morning of the 4th day, Kevin was summoned to the council chamber. The Great Hall was fuller than he had ever seen it. Every member species had sent representatives. The viewing galleries were packed with spectators from across the quadrant. News of the arena incident had spread through the entire galactic network. Everyone wanted to see what would happen to Earth. Kevin walked to the center of the chamber alone. He wore the same simple gray uniform he had worn on his first visit. He carried no weapons, no documents, no technology. Just himself. High Counselor Vex presided from his elevated platform, flanked by the other High Counselors. His crystal body caught the light, but Kevin noticed that his colors were different now. Calmer, more thoughtful. Ambassador Kevin Park of Earth, Vex announced. Step forward. Kevin moved to the center of the speaking circle. Thousands of eyes watched him from every direction. He could feel their attention like a physical weight. The Council has deliberated on Earth's petition for full membership, Vex said. We have considered your species' technology, your cultural development, your territorial claims, and your... He paused. Recent demonstrations of your world's natural strengths. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Kevin stood straight and waited. Several member species raised objections. They argued that Earth is too young, too aggressive, too... Another pause. Unpredictable. From across the chamber, Scrix rose on his 6 legs. The Keth ambassador's armor was dull, his movements slower than before. He had lost warriors in that arena. Good warriors, friends. My people demand justice, Scrix said. His voice was hard, but Kevin heard something underneath it. Something that might have been uncertainty. The humans brought a monster to our sacred arena. They let it loose. Our warriors died. Your warriors approached the water, Kevin replied calmly. They threatened the creature. They entered its territory. By your own council laws. I know our laws. Scrix snapped. I am not talking about laws. I am talking about what is right. What is proper. You should have warned us. Kevin let the silence stretch for a moment. Then he spoke, and his voice carried clearly through the entire chamber. You asked for our most dangerous predator. You wanted to see what Earth could produce. You expected something weak, something easy, something that would prove your beliefs about our world. He looked around at the assembled species. We gave you exactly what you asked for. We showed you the truth about Earth. Is it our fault that the truth was more than you expected? More murmuring. Kevin saw heads turning, beings whispering to each other in languages he could not understand. Vex raised one crystal limb for silence. The purpose of the arena demonstration is not merely to showcase power. It is to reveal character, to show us who a species truly is. He descended from his platform, moving toward Kevin until they stood face to face. Up close, Kevin could see the light moving through Vex's crystal body. It was beautiful in a way that humans had no words for. The Luminari brought the Crystal Stalker to demonstrate our mastery of fear, Vex said. The Keth brought the Hive Devourer to demonstrate their collective strength. The Serpentine brought the Sky Wraith to demonstrate their speed. Each species brought what they believed represented their essence. He paused, looking at Kevin with those strange crystal eyes. You brought a survivor. A creature that endured every disaster your violent world threw at it. A creature that refused to change because it was already perfect. A creature that has been doing exactly what it does for 200 million years. Kevin nodded slowly. And in doing so, Vex continued, you showed us what humanity truly values. Not dominance. Not power for its own sake. Persistence. Adaptation. The will to endure. The ability to face the universe's worst and simply refuse to die. The chamber had gone completely silent. Every being watched the two figures at the center. The Crystal Counselor and the small, soft human who had somehow changed everything. Earth's petition is granted, Vex announced. Welcome to the Galactic Council. The chamber erupted. Some species cheered. Others shouted in protest. The Geth delegation turned and stormed out, their armored feet crashing against the floor. But other species rose from their seats and moved toward the human delegation with new expressions on their faces. Curiosity, interest, respect. A Serpentine ambassador approached Kevin, her scales shimmering. Your creature, she said. It truly fears nothing? Fear is not part of its design, Kevin replied. It was built for one purpose. It does that purpose perfectly. A Luminari official came next. How do you live alongside such things? How do you sleep knowing they are out there? Kevin smiled. We learned. Millions of years ago, our ancestors learned to read the water for ripples, to watch for eyes, to never swim at dawn or dusk when the crocodiles hunt. We adapted. We survived. That is what humans do. Tessa Morgan appeared at Kevin's side. Her professional composure had cracked just enough to show a fierce, proud smile. You did it, she said quietly. You actually did it. We did it, Kevin corrected. Earth did it. Grandfather did it. He looked toward the exit where the containment unit waited. We should check on him. They made their way through the crowds, accepting congratulations and answering questions. The journey to the holding area took longer than expected. Everyone wanted to talk to the humans now. Everyone wanted to hear about Earth. Tommy Lee was waiting by the containment unit, still wearing his crocodile handler's clothes. He looked completely out of place in the gleaming alien station, and he did not seem to care at all. Grandfather's doing fine, Tommy reported. Ate about 40 pounds of meat and went to sleep. He doesn't know he just changed human history. Kevin stood by the viewing window, looking at the ancient creature floating in the dark water. Those yellow eyes were closed now. Grandfather was resting. He had earned it. He doesn't need to know, Kevin said. He's been doing what he does for 200 million years. The universe just finally noticed. Tommy was quiet for a moment. You know, I spent my whole life around these animals. People think they're monsters, mindless killers. But they're not. They're just efficient. They don't kill for fun or anger. They kill because that's what nature built them to do. And they do it perfectly. Is there a point? Maybe. Tommy leaned against the wall, his weathered face thoughtful. Maybe the point is that humans are a lot like them. We don't look like much compared to the rest of the galaxy. No claws, no armor, no venom, but we've survived everything our planet threw at us. Everything the universe threw at us. We're still here. Kevin nodded slowly. And now the galaxy knows, Tommy continued. They know what Earth produces. They know what humans are capable of. They know that the next time they underestimate us. He grinned, showing teeth that were not so different from grandfather's. We've got a lot more where he came from. Rachel joined them at the window. I'd been receiving messages from scientists across the quadrant. They want to study Earth's ecosystems. They want to understand how our planet produces such creatures. I think we're going to be very popular. Good, Kevin said. Let them come. Let them see what we really are. Let them understand that humanity didn't survive by being the strongest or the fastest or the deadliest. We survived by being the smartest, the most adaptable, the most stubborn. He placed his hand on the window, looking at the sleeping giant in the water below. Grandfather taught them a lesson today. But he's just one small part of Earth, just one species among millions. There are creatures in our oceans that could swallow their ships. Creatures in our forests that hunt in perfect silence. Creatures in our deserts that kill with a single bite. Our planet is a factory of survivors and predators and killers. Kevin turned away from the window and faced his colleagues. And we are the most successful of them all. Not because we're the most dangerous, but because we learned to use our brains instead of our bodies. We learned to adapt, to build, to create. We took a world that was trying to kill us every single day, and we turned it into a home. He smiled. That's what humanity brings to the galaxy. That's what the Council should remember. We come from a world of monsters, and we became something greater. We became the masters of monsters. The ship hummed around them as it prepared for the journey home. In the containment unit, Grandfather's eyes slowly opened. Those ancient yellow eyes, watching, waiting, patient as always. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Earth was not soft. Earth was not weak. Earth was a crucible that had forged the most adaptable, the most creative, the most stubbornly determined species in the known universe. And they were just getting started.